good look at in the paddock. Obviously, a big paddock, wasn't it? And he's from the family of Prince of Scars, who was a really good hurdler over longer distances in time. So interesting pedigree. Alan obviously does well with his bumper horses, so you know that he can well and truly ready one. Worth mentioning, listening to Nick Luck's podcast the other day, had Anthony Honeyball on. We know that Anthony does very well with his bumper horses. He's got Crest of Glory and Dartmoor Pirate in the race, in this race. Anthony was saying that they've both done plenty. They've had an away day prior to this. It's obviously a big prize, well worth picking up.
Very much so.
So you can trust that those two, Crest of Glory number 2 on the card and Dartmoor Pirate number 3, are going to be well schooled and certainly expected to be fit enough to do themselves justice today. But most of them will be, because the prize money on offer is significant, isn't it? So whilst we're going to have some inexperience on show, it's a prize well worth winning in its own right, and most of them will be well enough tuned up to at least give a good account, I'm sure.
Yeah, you'd think so. Summer Breeze just about ahead in the market, 130. Gentleman's Relish 7-2. Norman Fletcher 11-2. Crest of Glory now 9-1 from 10. So
that's the
bit money for that one. Yeah.
Much shorter price of the Anthony Honeyball pair. I think Anthony was saying in that interview on the podcast that Crest of Glory, the sort of stronger stayer of the two. Dartmoor Pirate might be the stronger traveller of the two, and Crest of Glory could be one that finds for pressure. So it'll be interesting to see how the race shapes up in that regard. You're going to have to steer well, aren't you? Soft, heavy in places, ground, inexperienced horses. Like I said, I was quite interested in Tommy Gunn on pedigree, but it's a race full of imponderables and unknowns, and it'll just be interesting to see how it shapes up, and I'm sure it will throw up plenty of winners for the future.
Yeah, I imagine it will do. Stipulations of this contest: horses had to have been sold under the hammer at Goffs. And the only one we're waiting for in this, I think, is Girls and Skirts to join them at the start. We didn't get to discuss her either. But
no, I mean, this year as well, it's only open to 4-year-olds, so there's a bit of a change there, which is part of the reason we've got a lot of unraced ones, because when it was open to 5-year-olds as well, you had more experienced horses sometimes coming here, whereas this year it's just for 4-year-olds. So it's got a big field, competitive look to it, but a bit of a minefield really for if you're deciding to have a few quid on.
It is, yeah. Girls and Skirts has now joined the peloton down at the start. Daughter of Marla, who of course is looking for his first Cheltenham Festival winner when Marla Mission tipped up very late on. Daughter of Marla, I would say Tom Bellamy team up with Alan King. He's got a few runners in this race. Of the Alan King trio, which one would be your
I liked Menaggio, actually.
Okay.
The son of Milan. Probably more for the longer term, but I quite liked him. He's quite a strong type. He wasn't over big, but he was nice, strong type. By Milan, proper national hunt pedigree there. He's in the yellow colours with the red spots of David Sewell.
Okay, runners lining up then ahead of this very valuable Goffs bumper. Hopefully going to see some nice prospects in the future coming out of this. The flag is now raised, so let's get to Mark Johnson with the call.
So they walk forward now. Extended 2 miles ahead of them. 19 4-year-olds. This most valuable of bumpers. Well, clear is given. And they're off for the £100,000 Goffs UK Spring Sale Bumper. The running of the extended 2 miles. The first to begin, Crest of Glory on the inside with Summer Breeze right up there. So too is Grain Trade, who's in the all-white silks. Working towards the near side, Gentleman Jacques alongside Dartmoor Pirate. At the moment, the back marker in the early stages, Tour Ovalie. Also towards the rear of the field is Menaggio. They're very tightly grouped through the first furlong and a half, and it is Grain Trade who just has the lead. So a second to go, Grain Trade with on the outside Gentleman Jacques. Those are the first two. And then Summer Breeze working towards the inside with Crest of Glory as they go into the turn. Tedley is racing in a share of fifth with on the inside Silent Auction and also Gentleman's Relish. Then around the outer is Dartmoor Pirate, followed by Joker de Tay, now in those light blue and green striped colours as they race away from the enclosures and towards the back straight. Then towards the inside is Girls in Skirts, who's racing just in advance of I'm a Lumberjack as they make the run down the back straight. One who's going quite wide is Tommy Gunn as they make the run now down the back straight and on towards the final mile and a half. So it is Crest of Glory on the inside who comes through now to share it with Gentleman Jacques and towards the outside races Grain Trade, and those are still the first three, followed by Gentleman's Relish and Summer Breeze, and then towards the inside is Silent Auction, who's just been niggled along to try and hold a position. Tommy Gun is still being taken very wide out on the course as they make their way midway down the back straight, going on now towards the final mile. At the moment, Norman Fletcher is racing just on the heels of the leading group, right in the centre of the pack as they go now through that next set of wings, and that carries them on towards the final 7.5 furlongs. So it is Crest of Glory on the inside with Summer Breeze. The one who got a reminder was Grand Sabre, who has now dropped towards the tail of the field, and now they race towards the end of the back straight, and it is on the inside Crest of Glory who leads Menaggio, and then on the outside is Grain Trade. The blue sleeves is Gentleman Jack as they now go towards that turn. Hunting them up next is Joker de Tay, with on the inside Silent Auction, then Summer Breeze, who's now losing her position and is being ridden along as now they make the turn on inside the final 6 furlongs. Crest of Glory has always been in the vanguard with Gentleman Jack, and around the outside Grain Trade. These are still the first three. Followed then by Silent Auction, who's on the inside. The stripes then of Joker de Tay. On the outside, Dartmoor Pirate is right there, and Norman Fletcher. Totally tailed off now is Grand Sabre, who's out the back of the field. Gentleman's Relish is struggling very badly. He's also in the last 3 or 4 as they begin to make the turn now back towards home. Summer Breeze has also dropped right away. The black colours Tour Ovalie is staying on from a long, long way back. So too is Push the Button, and they're racing now on down towards the final half mile. And it's Crest of Glory and Aidan Coleman who still have the lead over Gentleman Jack and Jonathan Burke in second. Towards the near side, it is Dartmoor Pirate who now shares the third position with Norman Fletcher, and Push the Button is the grey who continues to stay on. Girls in Skirts is staying on from a long way back. So too is Tour Ovalie, the black colours towards the near side. Menaggio is now beginning to try and rally as well. They're then being followed by I'm a Lumberjack, followed next by Silent Auction. The others at long intervals down inside the final quarter of a mile, and Crest of Glory has just about led every step of the way so far and has split this field. He's now gone clear by the best part of 8 lengths, giving chase. Tour Ovalie racing alongside Gentleman Jack, and then Norman Fletcher from a long way back. I'm a Lumberjack is staying on, but the winner has flown. It's the Anthony Hannibal trained, Aidan Coleman ridden Crest of Glory who is going to win the jackpot for the Goffs UK Spring Sale Bumper. Crest of Glory wins in a canter. Up for second, I'm a Lumberjack, followed home by Girls in Skirts, Push the Button, Tour Ovalie and Menaggio.
A very, very impressive performance from Crest of Glory on debut for Aidan Coleman, and Anthony Honeyball absolutely trounces them in the valuable Goffs bumper. A lovely effort from back in second, Alan King's I'm a Lumberjack, and in third it was Girls in Skirts, who was the one who was a little bit late going down to post. But what about that performance, Martin? To be fair to you, you called it from some way out.
Well, he was dominant, wasn't he? And he's travelled well in front, known his job. Anthony was interviewed and said that this horse would keep galloping. So when you saw him travelling well, leaving the back straight, and he was in the lead, you kind of thought he's going to take a bit of catching. But it wasn't just that he took catching. He kept storming clear and pouring it on in the last 2 furlongs. So impressive start. We know that Anthony Honeyball has an excellent record with his bumper horses in general. And his interview earlier on in the week told us that they'd done a lot of work with them. They'd taken them on away days, and they weren't going to be lacking for fitness and probably a bit of experience. And he knew his job, and he's kept going. He's done it really, really well.
He has. He's travelled all over them from the front, shown a lovely attitude, and Aidan has got to work just to kind of make sure, I think, in the closing stage. We didn't really need to. From the back, I thought Girls in Skirts has run a very promising race.
Yeah, very much so. There was some promise from Girls in Skirts, and lots of promise from I'm a Lumberjack
just noticed
as well.
how far that's come from back, actually, yeah.
He was running very green. I thought he was really well beaten leaving the back. But he's really stayed on to good effect. He was obviously very green, I'm a Lumberjack, and to get as close as he has in the end is credit to him, because he's really kept going. But Crest of Glory wasn't for catching. He was away and gone.
And definite promise too from Tour Ovalie, who's got a little bit tired, I think, in the closing stage, but she was a massive prize.
Yes, travelled really well into the race.
Definitely races to be won with her in the future, I'd imagine.
For sure, and she was picked up for just 12 grand, so they've got to be happy with how she's shaped first time out. I think she was just 4.
Yeah, look, she's a very likeable filly, Gary. As we were chatting about an extra, I thought her run of the filly and mare stakes at Ascot last season on British Champions Day, that was a big run. She was back in the field early on. She stayed on really well. She finished third behind Emily Upjohn and Thunder Kiss, who ran a big race herself. And she could have been marked up, I think, a little bit on the bare form of that run. She finished second in this race last year behind Mother Earth, a Guineas winner. She was only beaten in the neck by Luxembourg in the Royal Whip Stakes later in the summer last season. She goes well on this ground. And you'd imagine that William McCreary would have had this race in mind for her since he's got her back. So, yeah, lots and lots to like about her. Plus, her solidity in the market tells you that people are expecting a big run from her.
If she fails to live up to expectations, who might be most likely to capitalise, do you reckon?
I thought Kakira was an interesting filly, Gary. Like, she has to step up in grade. She's £9 lower than Insinuendo in official ratings. But I just thought I liked the way that she improved last season. She won the Northfields Handicap here on Irish Champions Weekend. She battled on well to lead home. And Johnny Murtha trained 1, 2, 3 in that race. Actually, Save Cracker and Flying Dolphin finished second and third respectively behind her. And then she was only just beaten by Self Belief, William McCreary's horse, in the Trigo Stakes, a listed race at Leopardstown at the back end of last season on her last run. That was on soft ground as well when she hit the front and was only just run down by Self Belief, with Lyrical Poetry back in third place. In Lyrical Poetry there finished second in a Group 2 race at Maidan there a few weeks ago. So Kakira, she seems to have improved since the cheek pieces were put on her for the first time here back in August last season. I think she's an improving merit. Look, she's going to have to improve again if she's going to get close to Insinuendo, but I think there's every chance that she can improve.
Just about to go forward now is Redressed, who won a maiden at Navan last autumn and has been kept in as a 4-year-old, presumably with the aim of obtaining some black type at the very least. Kakira and Cora might well be the final two for the Lodge Park Stud Irish EBF Park Express Stakes.
Cora, last of the 10. All in. And they're off. 10 fillies over the mile in the Group 3 Lodge Park Stud Irish EBF Park Express Stakes. And up front it's Agartha, Flame of Vera, attended by Cora, working out to the favourite Insinuendo, the darkish colours and white cap. Alongside is Delightful. Coming towards the turn, it's Agartha, showing in the lead from Flame of Vera, Cora, followed by Stargirl's Al Mal. On the outside, Delightful, tracked by Kirkiran and Insinuendo and Angel's Wrath and Sunset Shiraz, Redressed. The back marker with 5.5 furlongs to go. Agartha leads by just over a length to Flame of Vera, nosing the second from Stargirl's Al Mal and Cora and Delightful. Kirkiran next, then Insinuendo. 2/3 of the way back in the field, and then Angel's Wrath, Sunset Shiraz, Redressed. Little changes in the order, coming towards halfway. Agartha just showing in front by less than a length to Flame of Vera, Cora, striped cap on the outside of Delightful, followed by Stargirl's Al Mal and Insinuendo poised on the outside of Kirkira. Ridden along on the inside is Angel's Wrath as Redressed, just relegates Sunset Shiraz to be the back marker. 2.5 furlongs to go in the Lodge Park Stud Irish EBF Park Express Stakes. Agartha with challenging one off the rail, Flame of Vera. Coming there strongly on the outside is Insinuendo, boxing on in between fillies. In the white and purple is Cora, and then Redressed from the back of the field. Ahead of Angel's Wrath, and Insinuendo strikes the front from Redressed on the outside. 2 lengths between them inside the final 150 yards, and it's Insinuendo in front from Redressed. Running on late is Kirkira, racing up to the last 50 yards. Insinuendo goes a position better than last year in the Park Express, winning on a seasonal return for Billy Lee and William McCreary. Redressed a good second, and third was Kirkira.
Insinuendo returns as good as ever and with form in high grade.
Strongly supported into even money favourites. Well, she was always favourite, but into even money. Insinuendo, having actually been shorter at one stage, lands the odds here in this Group 3. And Don McLean watching alongside me. Don, I think she's won in spite of doing plenty wrong today. I thought she was quite keen with an idea through the race. Didn't get a lot of cover early, and she's still much too good.
Yeah, no, she did well, I think, Gary, to win. And she's a filly who's run lots of good races in defeat of late, but she hasn't won in a little while. So it's good to get this win on the board, going one better than she did last year when she was only beaten 3 parts of a length by Mother Earth. But yeah, I agree, Gary. She was out wide. She was a little bit keen early on around the elbow, and Billy Lee had to just kind of try and get her smothered up in behind horses after they'd gone a furlong, and she was just wanting to go a wee bit faster than Billy Lee wanted her to go. But then once they moved down into the home straight proper onto the 3 furlong marker, she travelled really well towards the near side. It's probably an advantage to be over towards the far rail today, maybe a little bit of an advantage at least. And she's picked up well. She's gone to the line strongly, and yeah, she's won nicely.
Slightly anxious moment for Billy Lee. Not much flusters him, in fairness. Just the rein slipped through his hand there. About a half a furlong from home, but Insinuendo readily keeping Redressed at bay. Redressed has run really well, though. That was a big step up from the maiden win at Navan. And Kakira, in the end, selling for third. She's such a consistent sort on, isn't she? Would you imagine she'll have another good year?
Yeah, no, she's run a good race, Gary, up in grade into a Group 3 race from like a listed race on her last run last season and handicaps before that. So yeah, she was weak in the market, Kakira, beforehand as well. So I can see her stepping forward from that. And yeah, Redressed, she's done well because she battled on really well to win her maiden at Navan last September. She's a really well-bred mare. Dam's a half sister to Midday. And Redressed, yeah, she's another one who could have a good season ahead of her now.
So Insinuendo back for another season of racing, gets off to the perfect start, and I'd imagine her sights will be raised now. She's run really well in top company last season, most notably, I suppose, that third behind Emily Upjohn on British Champions Day at Ascot in October. And Billy Lee off the mark for the new campaign as well. Insinuendo, the even money favourite, wins.
A half a length, 1 1/4 length.